A move to stop the British Prime Minister suspending the UK Parliament has stumbled at the first hurdle. A Scottish judge has rejected a request for a temporary injunction pending a full hearing next week. Boris Johnson has suspended sittings in Westminster just weeks before Britain is set to leave the EU. The decision has triggered a furious response, as well as several legal challenges. In a move to placate critics, Mr. Johnson says he will step up talks with the European Union. Brexit negotiators will now meet twice a week throughout September to try to strike a deal before the October 31st deadline. Our correspondent Ollie Barrett joins us live from London for more on this. Ollie, there were 3 legal challenges against Mr. Johnson's decision to suspend Parliament. We understand that a Scottish court has rejected a request. Will this set a precedent for the other 2?
Yeah, the Scottish court rejecting initially that request with a full hearing to come next week. We have legal challenges even being supported by former Conservative Prime Minister Sir John Major. But I think the sense about whether they will be successful or not is perhaps guided best by many of those MPs who want to stop a no-deal Brexit. They believe that their best chance of doing so is probably not through the courts, but is probably through legislation in the House of Commons. So no chickens being counted just yet when it comes to the legal processes. But as I say, most MPs who want to stop Boris Johnson's potential no-deal Brexit believe that next week is their best chance of trying to do so by trying to get legislation through the House of Commons that forces Boris Johnson in a different direction. That is going to be quite a battle we're going to see unfolding in the House of Commons next week when Parliament returns from recess and before it ends again because of that suspension from Mr. Johnson.
Well, one other tricky part to do with the Brexit deal is to do with the backstop. Mr. Johnson said he wants the so-called backstop and its fallback provisions regarding the Irish border pulled out completely. What are the chances the EU negotiators will be open to this?
Well, at the moment, European Union negotiators and officials and member states and leaders are saying to Boris Johnson, we will listen to any proposals you have, but you need to make them. You need to come forward with some concrete proposals before we can consider any changes or replacements to that controversial backstop. I think the feeling in Downing Street is that at least European Union member states are now listening to the idea that there could be some tweaks to the withdrawal agreement that Theresa May had agreed with them. All of that said, Brussels has said all along that it's not going to renegotiate, it's not going to make significant changes to the withdrawal agreement. So certainly time is running short, even though negotiations, according to Downing Street, are going to start intensifying in September. Boris Johnson certainly believes that the European Union won't make any significant moves until the fight that we're going to see in the next week or so in the House of Commons is done and dusted. He believes they are waiting to see what comes from that before they get properly down to negotiating any potential new or altered Brexit deal.
Yeah, we'll have to see some details first. Thanks very much for that. Ollie Barrett speaking to us from London.